Okay. Good morning, and thank you for joining the Public Building Commission of Chicago's YouTube live page. My name is Patricia Montenegro, Deputy Director of Procurement here at the PBC. Today is November 5th, 2025, and you are joining the pre-submission conference for the Construction, Document Printing, and Online Hosting Services Solicitation PS 3098R, which was issued on October 20th, 2025. And we'll begin with a few housekeeping rules. We want to ensure that everyone mutes their computers and/or cell phones. Please change your screen name if you haven't done so already, with your full name and company name or initials. And then please add your name to the chat as an additional attendance record keeping. And then please wait for the Q&A sessions that will be afforded at intervals during the presentation. You may also use the chat feature to ask questions. Today's agenda will consist of introductions and scope of services overview with procurement details and RFP highlights, compliance highlights, and then a final Q&A. I'll begin with introductions with my team. James.
Good morning, everybody. James Borkman, Director of Procurement.
Mary Pat.
Good morning, Mary Pat Witchery, Board Governance.
Minnie.
Minnie Cheese, Procurement Coordinator.
Thank you. Miguel.
Good morning, Miguel Fernandez, PBC Procurement.
Thank you. Patrice.
Good morning, Patrice Dahl, Compliance, PBC.
I see Tanya.
Good morning, Tanya Fouché, Weekly, PBC.
Thank you. And then we have Rudar behind the scenes helping us with technical assistance. All right, I will now introduce those who are joining us today, and then I will call your name out as I see you on the screen here. So first person up is David. Please introduce yourself and your company name.
Oh, David, BHFX Imaging, Chicago.
Thank you. James.
James Camargo from Crossroads Print and Technologies.
Thank you. Elmer.
Elmer Rhodes, Crossroads Print and Technologies.
Thank you. Marcy.
Marcy Hauser from Blue Edge. And I'm in New Jersey, but we are in Chicago, New Jersey, PA, Boston, and DC. And New York.
Great, thank you. Frank.
Frank Plum, Blue Edge,
Thank
Chicago.
You. Thank you. Jesus.
Jesus Favela, Blue Edge, Chicago.
Thank you. Greg.
Hi, Greg Bayerwaltis, BHFX, Chicago.
Thank you. And then I believe that is it, unless James, you see someone else I didn't call out. Oh, Daniel.
Yes, Daniel Gabrich from Blue Edge.
Okay, thank you so much.
Tanya's joined.
I'm sorry?
Tanya has joined.
Oh, yeah, she introduced herself already, but thank you. Or at least, okay. All right, moving forward. Okay, so we're gonna do a general scope of services overview for those of you who already have the RFP. Obviously, the RFP expounds on the scope of services, but essentially the role of the selected respondent would be to provide printing, binding, electronic transmission, and/or delivery of our issue for bid documents, as well as provide online hosting services by way of a online plan room of those issue for bid documents, and then provide any additional printing services that your firm may offer. We intend on entering into an agreement with a term of 3 years with an option to extend for up to 2 additional one-year periods. And assignments as described in the RFP would be based on either a rotational basis, solicit competition amongst the pool of respondents, or by directed task order. Once a project has been identified and we require services from the selected respondents, we would, depending on the way that we assign the project, we would then issue a task order to that firm, which would include specific details with regards to the project, and the not to exceed amount for which we're going to engage in. The task order would be accompanied by the sample distribution list that is found as an example or as a sample within the RFP document. It will include all of the names for which you would be responsible for, relaying the documents to each person, and that would include whether it would be by email or hard copy submission. And then page 2 just provides additional information with regards to specific requests with each piece of information that you receive. So you'd have your book 1, which is the instructions to bidders, book 2, the standard terms and conditions, book 3, the technical specifications, then we have the drawings, and then any other document that we may include as an issue for bid document, as well as any addenda that are issued during the procurement of the project. All right, so the procurement timeline is as follows. So the RFP was issued October 20th. Pre-submission conference is obviously being held at this time. There is a questions deadline. You've hopefully had the solicitation long enough where you've generated a few questions and you're now sitting in the pre-submission conference, and hopefully it will have answered the questions that you may have. But then we are now then trying to, ensure that we receive any questions that you may have that we have not cleared by way of the RFP or this pre-submission conference. And we request that you submit those in writing to my attention by Friday, November 7th at noon. Following the questions deadline, we then have the submission deadline, which is November 21st by 11 a.m. So this is electronic submission. We'll go a little bit into detail about specific things that you should be aware of. Then we go into the evaluation period and any oral presentations if necessary, and that would begin as early as the day that we receive through December 1st. And then we intend on presenting a recommendation to the PBC board on December 2025, or in December 2025 at our Board of Commissioners meeting. Document availability is essentially found on our current opportunities page. So any information that pertains to this procurement can be found on the specific link here that is found obviously by navigating our website and finding it under doing business with PBC. That current opportunities page will house the RFP document, including any forms and exhibits. It will include this presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the sign-in sheets. And then there have been no addenda issued to date on this project. But if we were to issue an addenda, it would also be housed here. It is your responsibility to continue to periodically check this current opportunities page to ensure that you're not missing any pertinent information with regards to this specific solicitation. Document availability is also with our assist agencies. They also receive this information. And if you have any technical assistance that you may require in how to submit an RFP response to the PBC, they have the technical resources to assist you with that information. Again, questions deadline, Friday, November 7th by 12 p.m. They must be submitted in writing to my attention as the sole point of contact to patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org. Again, emphasizing that there is no addenda, no addenda has been issued to date. Okay, so I understand that these services can be procured in different fashion amongst different agencies. We here at the PBC have selected the RFP process. Just want to emphasize the structure of the RFP, which includes the introduction about the PBC and what we do here and what kind of information may be issued, right, with those issue for bid documents. And then key information regarding the procurement, specific definitions, and then a detailed scope of services, how the task order request and acceptance will be handled, and then the evaluation criteria for the information that we are requesting of you, and specific submission requirements, including a submission checklist to further ensure that you provide to us all of the information that we are requesting. And then, of course, any attachments by way of forms or exhibits. And anticipated contractual obligations, which will also be found within the RFP, is the work product standards, essentially, that you would be required to adhere to, any MBE, WBE participation. If you are planning on doing joint ventures with other firms, what essentially we're looking for there. And then, of course, insurance requirements. Within the RFP, you'll see the Schedule A cost proposal. We are requesting that you identify a price for each item that you are requesting. If you do not offer that service, then we do require that you please place an NA in the particular field to make us or ensure that we understand that that's a service that you're not offering. And then on the lower right-hand corner, which would be the last page of the cost proposal, there is a line for additional printing services. So there, we ask that if you do offer additional printing services than those being requested in this RFP, and you have them by way of a list, a brochure, a link to somewhere on your website, we ask that you please include that with your submission. And we also, obviously would request that you provide an amount for any potential discounts that you would offer the PBC for those services. Okay. So we've identified a few documents that perhaps your firm is not familiar with in other in other solicitations. So we thought it best to make sure that we highlight them by way of visual form here. And so one of them is the legal actions. We want to make sure that your firm provides our risk management team a completed legal actions form. And if there is a yes within your response, then we ask that you do provide a narrative responding to what the matter might be. There is the Form D, which is your MBE WBE participation form. We're asking that you populate each section and that with any past participation that your company has achieved with other agencies. So essentially, this is the document that you would share with us, again, describing any past participation that you have met with other firms. Patrice will go into details about what else she would like to see on this form. Form E is your references, so we're asking that you provide us with a total of 3 individuals that can speak to the quality of your work and your performance. I would please make sure that you check in with the individual to make sure that you have the right email, that you have the right phone number, that this person is on the same page with you with regards to how well you did for them. Because oftentimes we call and oftentimes that response is not favorable. And so, you know, obviously this is an evaluation criteria and we want to make sure that you score well. Other forms that we did not provide visual, but we want to make sure that your firm completes in its entirety are the Form B, which is the disclosure affidavit. If you have any questions with regards to how to complete that form, that is one of the questions that we would ask that you submit. Form C, disclosure of retained parties. And then if you are going to do a joint venture, we will request that you submit a completed Schedule B. Okay, talking a little bit about joint venture partnerships here at the PBC, we highly encourage JV partnerships, and that can be in any combination, MBE, WBE, or a non-MBE, non-WBE with an MBE. Again, related joint venture documents would include your Schedule B, joint venture affidavit, and your joint venture agreement in draft form. It would have to be finalized by the time, obviously, we enter into an agreement. And then if it is an MBE or WB firm, we would require that you provide the certification letter, which is also required if you're going to have MBE, WB participation overall. Okay, so again, emphasizing that, you know, the PBC has selected the RFP process, and within the RFP process, there's evaluation criteria that I believe is on page 11, that it begins within the RFP, and it has certain criteria categories here, however you want to identify them. And then there is a certain percentage that is weighed, right? On that particular criteria. So it's your technical competence and experience of key personnel, your past performance, references, pricing, MBE, WBE past participation, your financial capacity, and then your overall response to the submission requirements, how well you followed instructions, how well your proposal is put together. Those are things that from an overall perspective as an evaluation committee member, they review as well. So again, within the, and I'm going to, emphasize these criteria because these are things that, this is a summary on the screen, but within the RFP, you're going to find additional details, and we want to make sure that you're responding in the manner that we are requesting that you provide the information, right? So it's going to speak to your technical competence and how well you should demonstrate your experience providing the scope of services described in the RFP, and that you should possess all of your required licenses. You should speak to your key personnel, identify all of the key personnel that are going to serve in this role, and then please ensure to attach the resumes of those key personnel so we understand their capacity. And then that you provide an org chart in diagram format, illustrating the structure of your respondents' proposed team. With regards to past performance, you should possess verifiable experience and demonstrate past performance providing the services comparable to the services described in this RFP. And then you should identify a minimum of 5 projects that were performed within the last 3 years for which you perform these services. I just want you all to also understand, that these are heavy weights, and so that you should probably dedicate some time, right, to responding thoroughly to these evaluation criteria. All right, we spoke, I think, in depth already with regards to the minimum 3 references that you should provide. Make sure that they're on the same page. Also weighted in that evaluation. Your pricing obviously is essential, as we will review all of the categories to identify essentially, how well you've identified the pricing here. The MBE-WBE participation, we've spoken about that particular document, and Patrice, under her section, will provide additional information, but you must complete, I'd like to emphasize, you must complete those forms. The financial capacity, we also go into depth about the documents that are required, right? So we are asking for 3 years of audited financial statements. If you don't have 3 years of audited financial statements, we request like a compilation prepared by an outside accountant or other financial documents. But we are looking to see 3 years worth of information. And again, the last criteria here, it will be reviewed for quality, completeness, and comprehensiveness of the response to the RFP. And so why is it important to ensure that you provide detailed responses? And that's because we develop an evaluation team. They're formed to independently review the submissions that come in. They then score them based on the weight assigned each criteria, and then they're ranked highest to lowest. We then convene as a team and discuss the findings and agree on an overall consensus score that will help determine who these selected respondents are. The selected respondents, as we identified within the timeline, may be invited for an interview, or we may ask for additional written information. The final recommendation is then submitted to the PBC Board of Commissioners at the PBC Commissioners meeting. And then we would shortly thereafter issue a notice of award. RFP submission requirements, we anticipate or we expect that there would be one complete copy of the RFP document and one complete copy of the financial documents within your email submission. The signature should be original in blue ink or digital signature is acceptable. The RFP response should be tabbed and in the order prescribed within the submission requirements and checklist. PDF documents should be single searchable PDF form and not a scanned copy unless it's those signature pages that you have printed out and provided with wet signature and then scanned in. Or, of course, those licenses, most of those licenses are not like in PDF format and they are available as scanned. So we want to make sure that you understand that the difference between the searchable PDF form and then a scanned PDF, right? So we want the entire submission in PDF form and then those scanned documents merged in. We do prescribe the manner which that RFP should be labeled and submitted. So it's there on the screen and also found within the RFP document. And then we request that you email it to 2 emails. My email at patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org, as well as this new email for those of you who are probably familiar with an older email of ours. It's a new email. It's pbc-procurement@cityofchicago.org. If your 2 files are too large and do not transmit via email, it is okay to provide a link by way of a Dropbox or similar secure file sharing platform. And then copies of the exhibits that are provided within the RFP are not required as part of your submission. Okay, want to emphasize again the importance of your financial statements, 3 years of financial statements. They should be marked as confidential. They are treated as such when we receive them. They are only evaluated by the subject matter expert. So please ensure that they are marked as such and understand that they will be treated with the utmost confidentiality. And again, emailed as a separate secure file within the same email. And within the RFP, you'll find that we included a checklist for your use in determining that you have provided, right, all of the documents that we are requesting. On the screen, if you have not signed up for PBC alerts, we encourage everyone to please scan this QR code and subscribe to PBC alerts. We also have a text feature. So if you haven't recently submitted and you've been on our list a long time, we encourage you to scan the QR code again and resubscribe so that you are also receiving a text subscription. All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to Patrice Doyle, who'll go over compliance highlights.
Good morning, everyone. So for this RFP, am I saying that right? Trying to multitask.
Yes.
The goal is an aggregate goal of 30% MBE WBE. It can be met by 1 MBE, 1 WBE, or a combination of MBEs and WBEs. As a reminder, we only accept certification from City of Chicago or Cook County, and the firm must have a current certification in the scope of services that they will be providing for your firm. All right. If your firm decides to do a joint venture agreement for this proposal, they have to submit a Schedule B. At a later date, they can submit the joint venture agreement if they are selected. The Schedule B must identify the roles of the MBE, WBE, the percentage of each company that they're providing in the joint venture agreement. And again, this form, Schedule B, is to be submitted if you decide, but the contract agreement is not required until you are selected. And once you are selected and receive task orders, you will have to submit a Schedule C. Just as for reference, that is the MBE or WBE firm that you will be utilizing to meet the 30% aggregate goal requirement. Again, we only accept current certifications from the City of Chicago or Cook County. This is the Schedule D, which provides the credit amount for your MBE or WBE firm. Patty, I'm sorry, can you go back to the Schedule C? Okay, thank you. You can move forward to the Schedule D. And again, this form will be required once you have been selected to provide the services to the PBC, and this is the credit amount for your MBE or WBE firms for reference. As mentioned, the Schedule D and C will is just exhibits and that you can refer to and identify. If you know your MBE or WBE firm that you will be utilizing for the 30% aggregate goal, you can put their information on there, but it won't be determined until you have been selected and task orders have been assigned. Back to you, Patty.
Okay, thank you. Again, emphasizing on the sole point of contact, Patricia Montenegro, or patricia.montenegro@cityofchicago.org. Any questions submitted to my attention, but I will open it up to any questions here in the group.
Patty, I would like to add something. I do apologize. The sun came out and I could not see anything. So I failed to mention the Form D, which you should complete regarding your MBE and WBE pass participation. There is a box that you put in that information, but if you would like to add additional information regarding your work with MBEs and WBEs on previous projects, you can add an additional sheet indicating what role that they participate in, or if you haven't, you can identify what ways you might be able to utilize them on this particular proposal. Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. Okay. So, all right. Turning it over to the room for any questions. Do we have any questions in the chat, James?
Currently, no questions in the chat.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, again, we want to go ahead and emphasize the questions deadline is November 7th by noon. Please ensure that you submit your questions by then. And then if not, please ensure that you submit your responses. We want to see everyone participating and responding to the RFP. And please ensure that you allow time To submit. We are working in a digital age where technology is sometimes not our friend. So you want to make sure you allow yourself some time to make sure that email transmits over and that we receive it within the deadline. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.